Do you love sci-fi movies? And do you ever wonder if the weapons your favorite characters carry could actually exist? And if they'd work as we see them on the screen? Well, you're in the right place, because this channel was made for you.
Hello and welcome to Hollywood Guns. I'm your host Wilson. Whether you're into action flicks, classic thrillers, or unforgettable TV shows, this is the place where movie magic meets real-world firearms.
Over the past year, we've learned something interesting about movie armorers, audiences, and gun fans like you and me. We all love the Beretta 92 family. For over 4 decades, it's been Hollywood's go-to sidearm. Mel Gibson's Lethal Weapon put it on the map in 1987, and Bruce Willis carried it into the Die Hard franchise a year later. And its shadow stretches all the way into the Matrix era with Keanu Reeves. 2 on-screen upgrades cemented the 92's legend. First, the scarce, selective-fired Beretta 93R inspired the Auto 9 from RoboCop and countless fan builds like my own. Then, a mid-90s tweak, the alchemic compensator gave the 92 a new assassin-ready silhouette, immortalized in the movie Leon. And now we reach the Beretta 92's ultimate movie expression, compensated like the Leon gun, and full auto in the spirit of RoboCop, and carried not by a leading man this time, but by an elegant, lethal vampire enforcer, Selene. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the story of an actual on-screen used Beretta 92, one of 2 pistol serial numbers matched to both Movie 1 and Movie 2. You are looking at a gun held, fired, and worn by Kate Beckinsale herself. This is the signature sidearm of a death dealer from the movie franchise, Underworld. For this week's episode, I'm filming on location at a very unique business. Off-the-set Props, located in Stuart, Florida, specializes in curating real weapons as they've been seen on the big screen. Their owner Eric is an armorer and a collector of actual screen-used firearms, movie props, and other memorabilia. Over the next few months, I'll be featuring several guns from Eric's collection that are screen-used original props, and some of which have been used by our favorite hero. Coming up soon is Sylvester Stallone's screen-matched Lawgiver 2 from Judge Dredd. So if you want to see this episode, please help me and the algorithm out by commenting, "I am the law!" So a huge thanks to Eric for sharing these exclusive pieces on my channel. Please remember to check out his Instagram and website offthesetprops.com for more movie entertainment and related items. Background and history of the firearm. If you want the full technical history of the Beretta 92, please check out my other videos. The Lethal Weapon episode covers the platform's development and law enforcement and military service, and the RoboCop episode digs into the full auto 93R variant. For this episode, I'm skipping the deep manufacturing history and instead sharing with you something that I've learned from running this channel over the past year. Why the Beretta 92 is in so many movies and TV shows. At first, I assumed it was a marketing win. The Beretta USA pushed the 92 into blockbuster films in the 1980s to drive consumer demand, the same way Dirty Harry boosted the Model 29 in the 1970s, or how cigarette manufacturers in the latter half of the 20th century used product placements to drive demand. However, that turns out not to be the case. Firearms manufacturers generally avoid overtly promoting guns in movies, because whilst it does increase sales, it also draws legal and public relations heat from groups who accuse the brands of glorifying violence. So what's the real reason? Well, it comes down to armorers and the platform's practicality. The Beretta 92 is low cost, high capacity, and very reliable. It's widely used by law enforcement and the military, meaning it's visually matched to the topic and characters from a lot of movies and TV shows. It's rugged enough to handle heavy use on set, being made from all metal and no polymer. But most importantly, its action is pretty straightforward to convert to blank firing. As such, these factors make it a prop house favorite. Armorers can quickly make it camera ready, safe, and repeatable for multiple takes or multiple movies, and that's why you keep seeing it on screen time after time. Welcome to the intermission. And while we're on the subject of very desirable and collectible firearms, I'd like to thank the main sponsor of this channel. Of course, that's Guns International, the largest online classified listings for firearms, where you can search out for all of the new things that you need, vintage and collectible pieces, and even NFA-related items. like you're seeing in the video. Basically, if you like this kind of thing, Guns International should be your homepage on the internet. You can just go online and find them, and while you're there, they make great t-shirts too. Just kidding, of course, but while we're on the subjects of t-shirts, here is my OG the 45 long slide with laser sighting t-shirt, of course from the Terminator, and I now have 2 other shirt designs available. And if you're interested in supporting the channel, this is a great way to do so, as the profits go to cover the armory budget and my rapidly expanding travel budget to film guns from several of the amazing viewers and collectors who have reached out to me on the channel. That's it for now, let's get back to the video. The movie gun versus this example. Well, as I stated, this is actually the movie gun. And after years of research, here's the story that Eric was able to piece together on the Underworld guns and why they look different between movies 1 and 2. In Underworld 1, between 4 and 6 pistols were rented from Baptie's prop house in London. Side note, before becoming Selene's iconic sidearms, they actually appeared in Judge Dredd from 1995. So again, if you want to see an episode on Judge Dredd, you know what to comment, right? I am the law! In terms of the Judge Dredd connection, Eric confirmed this by identifying several of the holes drilled into the frames of the firearms, which were the mounting points for the Judge Dredd chassis system, which Eric also owns. But hey, that's a story for another video. For the first Underworld movie, production took 4 of the Berettas and configured them as follows. 2 were converted to fully automatic, 2 were kept as semi-automatic, and 4 compensators were added, each with a barrel extension running through it, and that extension hid the blank firing adapter. If you're not aware, a blank firing adapter is essentially a plug inside the barrel that restricts the gas flow. Because blanks have no bullets in them to build pressure, the adapter allows some of the gas to escape out the barrel and create the flash that we see on a real firearm, but it also forces a lot of the gas backwards into the action of the firearm to cycle the slide and chamber the next round. So this way the gun still functions like a real firearm for realistic action sequences. Without a blank firing adapter, the blanks just go bang as all the gas escapes quickly out the barrel, but the gun never actually cycles to fire another round. According to Eric, the compensators used were made by a company called SGS, which has now gone out of business. And those are clones of the original Algemet compensator that we saw on the Beretta 92 in Leon, the Professional. And I'll put a link to that episode at the end of the video. When filming wrapped on the first movie, the Berettas were returned back to Baptie's rental inventory for future use, and the SGS compensators with the barrel extensions were put into a parts bin as well. But later, 2 pistols were rebuilt with those compensators and sold into a private collection. When Underworld 2 Evolution began filming, more guns were ordered from Baptie's, and 2 of the original Berettas from the first film were returned. By this time though, airsoft guns were becoming standard in the movie prop business, especially for close quarters gunfire scenes, due to the cost and complexity of blank firing conversions, but mainly because of safety, especially when muzzles are just inches away from actors' faces. Go! Eric has analyzed the movie frame by frame and has deduced that blank firing guns were used for distance shot scenes and airsoft guns were used for close range rapid fire scenes.
You will give me what I want!
Eric owns one of the original blank firing Berettas used in both films. The SGS compensator you see today doesn't contain that blank firing barrel extension. Remember, those were removed and sold with 2 of the original guns. And instead, the blank firing adapter is now inside the barrel. And using frame-by-frame analysis of the 4K Blu-ray, Eric was able to match this gun and its serial number to the on-screen usage. Believability of firearms portrayal in Underworld 1 and 2. On Hollywood Guns, I usually grade real-world films on their firearms accuracy, how closely what we see on screen matches with what we would expect in the real world. However, for sci-fi or fantasy weapons, I use a believability score. An Underworld is a supernatural vampire versus werewolf kind of movie with exotic weaponry and enhanced physical abilities. So I think believability and not realism is a better metric here. The 3 categories. Design and world fit. Does it look, sound, and function like it belongs in the world of the film? 2. Actor handling and tactic. Does the performer make it look real to hold, aim, and operate? 3. Cinematic impact and cultural legacy. Did it create memorable moments and inspire fans over the long term? Design and world fit. So far in the Believability Scale series, we've looked at the M41A pulse rifle from Aliens and the Deckard blaster from Blade Runner. Both films are set in the future, and both guns feel like logical evolutions of traditional firearms. Still projectile-based, still operating on the same 500-year-old concept of firing a bullet via an explosion, just advanced versions of that. Underworld is set in the modern era, so it makes sense that almost all the firearms are normal contemporary weapons. The sci-fi twist, though, is in the ammunition.
Silver nitrate. Bet you weren't expecting that.
The Lycans deploy ultraviolet rounds, projectiles carrying a UV-reactive fluid that bursts on impact and burns vampires from the inside out. And the vampires counter with silver nitrate rounds, injecting silver liquid into the Lycans' bloodstream to poison and shut down their regenerative capabilities. On screen, the effect is dramatic, glowing UV reactions and silver fluid pulsing from wounds as the victim collapses. I really love this juxtaposition. Familiar, real-world guns paired with advanced, supernatural ammunition. It fits the world perfectly and fuels the evolving arms race between the species. Grade A.
They won't be able to dig these out like they do with their usual rounds.
Straight into the bloodstream. Ain't nothing to dig at.
Actor handling and tactics. Here we evaluate how Kate Beckinsale uses the firearms on the screen. You're watching some of the scenes now. She's dual-wielding them, they're on full auto fire, she's got great fluid movement and constant aggression. The action is cycling on full auto and it looks great. Yeah, there's no visible recoil, which of course would never happen with a real ammunition due to Newton's third law of motion, equal and opposite reaction. But these are blank firing guns, and blanks generate far less recoil. And in this universe, vampires, male or female, are physically far stronger than humans, so the lack of recoil actually plays in the movie's favor.
Why are they after you?
What about capacity? Well, if you start counting rounds, the film breaks with reality pretty fast. Each pistol would realistically hold 16 to 17 rounds in a flush-fit magazine like we see, and we blow past that number pretty often between cuts. There are a few reloads sprinkled in for cinematic effect, but not nearly enough to keep things grounded. And yeah, the scene where Selene shoots a perfect circle through several inches of concrete floor and drops through to the floor below, phenomenal cinema. But zero chance that that could happen with 9mm, even with armor-piercing magic juice from Khan's lab. But again, we're firmly in vampire, physics-defying land. Returning to Kate Beckinsale, let's be honest, she really sells this movie. She's brooding, capable, confident, fast, and deadly, and she looks phenomenal whilst doing it. And I can't really criticize her in good conscience. She's absolutely stunning and nails the physicality and mystique of the character. Flaws in capacity and physics aside, Kate has no issues. My bias prevails, grade B+.
Pity, because I lived for it.
Cinematic impact, and cultural legacy. Blade Runner and Aliens are pushing 40 years old now, and their hero guns remain iconic even today. By comparison, Underworld is only just into its 20s. But was it a hard-hitting movie for guys like me back then? Absolutely. Now, was it because of the Beretta 92s? Or was it the movie? Or was it because of Kate Beckinsale in a leather catsuit dual-wielding pistols in slow motion? I think we all know the answer. And while we're on the subject, Underworld is another movie that didn't really need a sequel, and definitely not 3. Awakening in 2012 and Blood Wars in 2016. Are these movies any good? I've no idea. I haven't watched them. The second one didn't really do well enough for me, despite Kate's continued visual appeal. But what about the gun's legacy? Did they inspire iconic fan builds like the Pulse Rifle? Did companies like Tomene rise up to produce screen-accurate replicas? Unfortunately not. Because at the end of the day, these are mostly just regular Beretta 92s. And the Algemec-style compensators look fantastic, but what do gun nerds like me remember them from? Leon the Professional, and not Underworld. grade D.
We have a serious problem.
Overall believability score for the Beretta 92s in Underworld. Well, strong scores in the first two categories, but in terms of cultural legacy, the guns simply don't stand beside the other sci-fi legends that we've already reviewed on the channel. Let's be real, it's Kate Beckinsale selling these guns, and it's not the guns themselves. She could have carried almost anything, and it still would have looked incredible. And yes, I know, many Underworld fans and movie gun nerds are already typing in the comments that while the Berettas take center stage, the films also feature another pair of far more desirable pistols. And yes, I plan to review them for another early 2000 movie when I can afford one or two of them. So, while the full auto Beretta 92s are good and absolutely fun to watch, they simply don't reach the iconic status of the M41A pulse rifle or the Deckard blaster. Overall grade, C+.
Well, we're gonna have to work on that.
Other movies and scenes the Firearms appeared in. Well, this one's quick. The Beretta 92 is everywhere in Hollywood, as we've already discussed. And if you look at the IMDb page, the list is almost endless. We're talking about over 500 films and counting. If you're new to the channel, I've already covered some of my favorite semi-automatic cinematic appearances in my Lethal Weapon and Leon episodes. And for the full auto version, both the converted 92s and the super scarce factory 93Rs, check out my RoboCop breakdown and my top 5 Beretta 93R movie appearances episodes. By my estimation, I have about 2 hours of pure Beretta 92 action across these videos, packed with dozens of the most iconic scenes that I can remember from Die Hard, the Matrix franchise, the Terminator franchise, Equilibrium, Broken Arrow, and many more.
Through? I haven't even started.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a wrap. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and thanks for staying to the end. If you haven't already, you can help the channel out by hitting the subscribe button and tapping the bell icon. And the reason for that is YouTube's algorithm changes constantly, and creators and viewers recently have noticed that if you don't watch content from a channel for a few weeks, YouTube will tend to stop recommending it to you. And instead, they'll start feeding you content from new channels, and will quietly vanish from your feed like vampires at sunrise. Finally, again, a huge thanks to Eric for letting me film his Underworld hero Beretta. And as promised, if you want to see this gun's earlier screen appearances in Judge Dredd, drop a comment.
It's a lie! The evidence has been falsified! It's impossible! I never broke the law!